Welcome to the latest episode of this week's Acca, sponsored by Sky Bet Acca Freeze. I'm Tom and joined by Jake and Jimmy as ever to deliver our selections. We're back looking at the weekend format after a midweek action full of Premier League games. Still a couple more to go as well. Delivering our accumulator in the usual format. As ever, we want to know your thoughts in the comments and we'll discuss a few of them very shortly, all through the Sport Life social media channels. And as ever, please remember to keep it fun. Never bet more than you can afford. This podcast is 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly. Where should we start? Should we talk comments or should we talk last week's Acca very, very quickly? We were so excited. It was our biggest one of the season. Yeah. It was up to 50 to 1. We thought, we're in here. This is the one. And then postponement. Treble that we were forced to go with. A win and 2 draws, I think it finished in the end. So
yeah, the big prize, Plymouth won. Which
Plymouth did deliver a late winner, didn't they?
Would have been good, but yeah, it was all a bit anticlimactic, wasn't it? I mean, we were all buzzing leaving the studio thinking, this is great, the biggest prize we've ever put up.
Fancied it. We thought this would be about 50 to 1 boosted.
And then, yeah.
Bloody weather, It's time of the year though, isn't it?
Bloody weather.
It's the time of the year. We're going to get a few of these now where we're going to put up some. We got to prepare that there will be postponements. So the drill, if you backed it on the Sky Bet Enhanced, was they would pay out in line with whatever the final accumulator was. So if you backed the 5-fold, it would have been the 4-fold. If you backed the 4-fold, it would have been down to the treble if that won. Just a little note for future weeks in how it works. Few of the comments that we've had, thanks for getting in touch. Thanks for watching us on YouTube as well, if you want to go and check that out. Rich Grove asked about Acca Freeze, obviously, sponsor of the podcast, isn't available on your selections after enhancing with Sky Bet. Yeah, so it's a bit of both, right? That we've got the choices that we make. We get that enhanced, so you've got a bigger price than you'd get anywhere else, effectively, is the one option you can go with. Or we have the long list, and if you prefer the freeze option or the safety, you can build the long list, take those out and go from there. I think that's probably the best answer, the suggestion. I don't really know how to put it, but that's why we're getting the enhanced price on our selections. But you can use the Acca Freeze on the long list if you want there as well. A few others there on YouTube would love to see a small stakes long shot Acca each week. I think that was Jim Rod getting in touch. Plenty of gut feeling picks from the three of you at juicy prices that you decide not to put in the main Accas that can form a tasty return from a small outlay worth a gamble, Dave. We have the long list though.
We do have the long list.
And Jim Rod, your man, if you want long shot. You happily have an Acca of just 3 to 1 shots minimum.
Yeah.
Every single week.
If you want a long shot that's going to lose, I'm your man, babe.
A few of us from obviously the Acca before, 3 wins from 4 isn't bad. All lads, I'm looking full confidence that you'll land another one very soon. This is Tom Lawler, who I agree with on his tuppence worth. It would to be only select home teams. I'm a big fan of the home Acca. Have I won either of you over as the season's progressed? Are you in the two Toms camp?
I operate best without any restrictions. That's where I cause the most damage, so I don't want too many rules.
Not saying it's a rule, but, you know, it's an interesting thing on the home teams as well.
I just go where the value is. That's my motto, whether you're home and away. If you've got a good price or a price that's bigger than you think it should be, it doesn't matter if the team's at home or away, you take it.
We tweet out the Sunderland manager odds as well. And I like this comment from Daryl, who got in touch with us on X, formerly Twitter, to give it its full name. You always target a 10 to 1 with your Acca, so Steve Bruce it is. Steve Bruce was 10 to 1 at the time, so you heard it here first. We're getting the Sunderland job on the back of that if we're going for our Acca one. And final one from Ray Stevenson, again on YouTube, asked basically about Hull. We never discussed Hull or Middlesbrough. I think they've both, well, Middlesbrough lost at Leeds, put in a very good performance. Hull are really going on. There's a good article on sportlife.com from Gab Sutton, looking at Hull, their Premier League potential under Liam Rosenior as well.
Magnificent read.
We are going to have to start paying a bit more attention to, actually, aren't we, Hull and Middlesbrough, because they're performing most weeks.
Yeah, I tipped him top 6 and I got absolutely rinsed the first few weeks of the season.
Borough was this?
Yep, Borough.
Yeah, they started very slowly, but they have picked it up a bit.
Yeah, picked it up, yeah.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that are false position, even still. I know they've had a good run of form, but you take in, you know, underlying data, they should be 5th in the league based on the expected goals data. It's just Ipswich, Sunderland ahead of them. which obviously is interesting given they just parted ways with Tony Mowbray, and then Leicester leaves the top two. So
I actually can't believe that.
We'll discuss that shortly. Yeah, I don't even know Sunderland are playing this weekend, but we'll discuss it anyway. We'll talk managerial stuff. Actually, Ray, also it's like a two-parter for you, data nerd. My question is XG. Surely, if two teams,
what was that you read out a tweet earlier? That Sunderland are looking at. Is it a turbo nerd? Was that the phrase?
Someone's using the phrase turbo nerd.
Turbo nerd. that is good.
My question is, this again from Ray on YouTube, my question is, XG surely, if two teams are the same, you have to factor in that, say, Kane plays for one and Morpie, bit harsh, plays for another.
That's disgusting.
It's a legitimate point, I think. You know, we talk teams who create a lot. Brighton were the big one. They were the kind of the social
Darwins.
media kind of meme, weren't they, for a while, that they always won the XG every single game, but they couldn't convert, and actually their strikers weren't quite there. Everton are a bit of the same this year. They're really good at Goodison Park. I think it's Decore, maybe, who's was a defensive midfielder by trade, has been playing more advanced, is the one that's now creating the chances. Does factor into it a little bit if you've not got the players. I think
a little bit.
Actually, it will maybe balance out over time. Personnel does come into it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I'll take this one.
Come on then, buddy. you
all the underlying data is a load of bollocks, basically.
Well, there's a reason that all the betting markets are formed using this kind of data. Because you do get an edge by looking at it rather than the table. You only learn so much from looking at the table and results. Yeah, it definitely, if you've got a quality finisher that kind of exceeds their XG over a consistent basis, and by consistent I mean like 5-6 years.
Son's the big one.
Son's the big one.
Is the ultimate player in this one. Right?
Big time, yeah. He overperforms his XG every single season, just purely because the XG model can't keep up with the fact that he is as good with his right foot as he is with his left foot. Obviously, you have a strong foot, weak foot in terms of when you plot in these different variables in your XG model, and he kind of breaks that. Kane is another one that consistently outperforms Messi as well. You do have to factor it in a little bit, but the main thing is the general team chance creation is what we're looking at. We're looking at consistency from a team perspective, because ultimately if you're solely reliant on someone having a hot streak in front of goal to get your results, then it's not sustainable over a long period of time. And we've seen that we've discussed teams on this show already this season that have gone through similar stuff. So it's a good question.
Keep your comments coming in then. We'll try and get to as many as we can at the start of every episode, which means we have to actually talk some football for this episode and start to build this week's Acca. As ever, the usual format. We're looking around the 10-1 marker. We've got sweet. I mean, I wasn't. You two kind of always were on the 5-team thing. I've come round to that way of thinking a bit and just getting 5 really strong fancies in rather than gambling a little bit on that. Who would like to kick things off? And can I maybe put the caveat in, do we want to talk Premier League first? Because
yes, please.
I don't know what you lads think, but this was the first 3 p.m. slate where we've not only kind of got the 3-4 games to go at, but there are some real good potential Acca picks in there. If I'm correct, or is it just me thinking it? Starts off then, Jake. Where are you looking in this one?
I think you're spot on. I'm looking at Molineux. I think Wolves are a bet.
Yes.
We're around 9 to 10. I know there's a small. The only nagging doubt is obviously Steve Cooper is going to be fighting for his job in this game. Like the reports are that it's one game and out. If he loses this, he's out.
He's always fighting for his job. He's always under pressure, though, isn't he?
Yeah. No, you're right. He is. And ultimately, they've won one of the last 11 in the Premier League. So anyone who goes through that kind of run is going to be under pressure. But there's 2 stats really for me that. It's not even like underlying data led. Forest have lost 19 of the 27 away games in the Premier League since promotion, which is a ridiculous return. It's so bad. And Wolves are unbeaten in 5 at home. They've won 3, but they've played City, Villa, Newcastle and Spurs in that time. So the fact that they are playing and picking up points consistently even against these better teams suggests to me that they can do the damage against Forest. And we saw Forest in midweek get absolutely pummeled by Fulham, didn't we? Any team that starts in the Premier League nowadays with Divock Origi up front has a problem.
I think, I had this one down. Absolutely, I think. I was worried because I was starting to look at this Monday, Tuesday-ish time when I started to kind of look at the weekend slate. I had Wolves down originally. Forest to get hammered 5-0, and it was like, oh my God, the price is going to crash. It's held fairly well, which is quite nice, and it means it's still well worth including. It's a point on Cooper, though, that he's fighting for his life. But, I don't know the Forest players, I don't know what they're like, but it always feels like if you've got a group of players who are at this stage, they know that. Are you that fussed about putting the performance in, knowing that a bad outcome leads to a change? And even if he only has one game left, what are they expecting to happen in this one game? is it really going to be the point where they've been a couple of times last season where it looked like this was going to happen? He has one game to go out to turn it around, came out of one of them with a new contract. But are you that fussed really for the group? You know the reports, you know the talk. Not saying you'll never try in a game, but if you're...
You're turning full Roy Keane. They're throwing him under the bus.
I think it is a bit though, isn't it?
Is that an Irish accent?
I don't think it's...
Yes, he was.
I was hoping one of you were going to take over by this point towards the end of this, but does it feel like, they're fully aware of the situation?
Yeah. No.
How up for it can you be for a game?
I know you wanted help then, but I just chose to be quiet and just let you
die.
die.
See where I'm going down this alley. Effectively, what I'm trying to say is, if you're this squad of players,
Going again.
you know the reports, you know the situation.
Yeah.
It's just
I'll save you.
as it is on you as everyone
I
else.
think Wolves go in, 100%. I was surprised to see them. I think they're currently 1.9.
Yeah.
Home form, you touched on it. It's unbelievable. And I think, apart from Burnley, they've played 6, this is off the top of my head, I think they played 6 of the current top 8 at home before Burnley. And unbeaten in the last 5 now, I think.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I want them in. I wanted to see how they got on against Burnley, because I know Burnley aren't a traditional, bottom of the table team in the sense that they try and play football. They're not fighting for every point in that sense. So I was interested to see how they get on against a lower table side. But they got the job done, and they probably should have won by more than 1-0. So I'm happy to get Wolves in.
Yep, we're in agreement then, Wolves.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll go with Wolves as the first one there. Are there any others before we move on? Premier League wise, I did want to bring Brighton to the table. I thought this is maybe a good time to do it, and Brighton have obviously got injury issues, availability issues, and then I saw the game against Brentford. Obviously, they've all been on this week, haven't they? And they won that despite what the scoreline said. I think it was a
even game,
fairly right result in terms of the way that game played out.
Is that
a
bit of a rivalry, by the way? Sorry.
What?
Brentford, Brighton?
I don't think so.
I think so.
Oh.
Palace.
I just thought the two owners put big money on it. I thought, no.
Is it Brentford?
Have I heard that? I thought you
Brentford
told me
Brighton.
that.
I told you this.
Yeah.
Brentford Brighton, actually. That is their big game, isn't it? The two of them fell out.
Yeah, the two owners fell out.
I'll definitely work it out. It's Tony Bloom and Benson, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the Lizard and the other one.
A Cold War rivalry between Brighton. Yeah, it is, of course. Brighton, Tony Bloom, Matthew Bentham at Brentford.
I thought so. I thought it was you.
It's such a big, you know what? It's such a big rivalry that I completely forgot about the fact that we told you that, and then it's happened now.
Yeah. It's also the data derby. They're two teams that.
That's basically it. They were business partners. They split. Now it's like the big thing, and there's always big bonuses if they win. But more importantly, will Brighton back it up with a win over Burnley? I mean, they've had a good result, obviously, against Sheffield United, but as it shows, they're not great.
We're talking about a price. No, they are not great. We're talking about a price of 1 to 2, and now that seems short.
That's the shortest I'd go, I think.
Luton went there at the first day of the season. They were 1 to 3.
Yeah.
Are Burnley that much better than Luton?
No, Burnley are worse than Luton.
There we go.
Get them in.
Is that the value point on that? Yeah. And if anyone else has anything to add, I did want to bring Brighton to the table, and it feels very much like we've decided this very quickly.
Yep.
It settles me.
The only doubt I would have about taking Brighton at this kind of price is against a team that's going to sit back and try and frustrate them, like a Forest, like a Sheffield United, like an Everton. Burnley won't do that.
No.
I thought you were going to say Burnley were going to do that. No, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
You should have jumped in.
That's that social clip ruined.
That's where they've dropped points this season. Fulham at home, Sheffield United at home, Everton away. They've dropped points against teams that should have been beaten. But Burnley, we know, are going to turn up there. They're going to play open football and should lead to a good game. Should lead to Brighton just have too much quality.
I see no reason to say any more on the matter.
17-10 that double then. We've quick-fired, got a couple in the Premier League here. Any others in the Premier League before we move on, by the way?
I don't think so.
I did want to ask you, actually, Sheffield United play Brentford, a team we've just discussed there, and I couldn't wait to get you on this podcast, Jim Rod, because Chris Wilder, yes, no, fan of it?
Honestly, I don't.
Obviously, a club legend, did an unbelievable job the first time around, but for all of that work, there was the abysmal second campaign that followed, led to everything. Desperation play, they're in a desperate position, but happy with it? Were they right to bring him back? Should they have looked elsewhere, or?
I just think there's a worrying pattern emerging at the club, to be honest, with the owner. It's not as bad as your beloved, but I am a bit concerned about.
What a time to be alive in the football scene.
It is if you're on them both to finish bottom.
Shaking hands, by the way. Start of December, so still a lot of football.
Yeah, there's a lot of
played,
football.
No, it's paid out, basically. Yeah, no, my only concern about Wilder before we move on is the manner in which he left. They were talking on the radio saying we sacked him before, but he didn't. We didn't really. He forced his way out of the club. He tried leaving 3 times off the top of my head. Do you know when he was in the Premier League and it was all going wrong? And that's the only unsettling thing for me. And a lot of the players are still there, so I wouldn't be having him if he tried jumping ship when it was going to
staggering. I was looking, I think it's 7 players maybe who are in the squad.
Yeah.
And his last game are still there at the moment and like starting.
Yeah.
As well, it's
it would be an incredible achievement to keep them up at this stage, I think.
Yeah, having said all that, I think the perfect man for the job at hand.
But how does it feel to have the second best manager in Sheffield? Still.
It's all Championship. We'll talk
And you roll.
on that in a bit because, interesting how it's playing out at the moment. But yeah, just wanted to get the thoughts on that Sheffield United. Giving them any chance against Brentford, by the way? People wanted a Premier League only, Acca. That's fair enough, that's that. There we go. Blades 7-2, Brentford 8-11. Happy with the 2 picks got so far, though?
Yes.
There we go. First look at the Premier League then. We've got our 2 selections, our first 2 selections, I should say, of this week's Acca. We're taking Brighton to beat Burnley, and we've got Wolves to beat Nottingham Forest, the double just shy of 17-10. It's been such a busy week, and I'm slightly worried that I will eventually run out of the questions, that I'm going to tactically put some in, put some not in. I know you both have one. You seemed desperate when I mentioned this before, that the eagerness. Jake had a good one, but Jim Rod's very enthusiastic, so you can both have a go. Would you like to both ask a question?
Yeah, I've got a question, and it's been bugging me for a while. I was just wondering, basically, how are babies made?
Jake, have you got a football-related question?
I have a football-related question, yeah, but if anyone's got an answer to that for Jim Rod in the comments, that'd be great. So a couple of weeks ago,
One gets banned on YouTube.
Yeah,
Carry on.
we've got to be careful there. A couple of weeks ago, Justin Kluivert scored for Bournemouth in the Premier League, and he became just the 2nd player in the 21st century to score in all top 5 leagues across Europe. So that's Prem, Serie A, La Liga, Liga, and the Bundesliga. Who is the other player who did it first?
How long ago are we talking for this, by the way?
Yeah, it's a classic whodunit.
Still recent,
isn't it?
It's fairly recent, yeah.
Recent. Okay.
I think he played
the last 10 years,
last time he played in the Prem was maybe 20. I want to say 2012, 2013, something like that.
Okay, so we're looking at that City side. Good one to stew on. We'll come back to that later on. See if we can work this out. This week's Acca, we've got Wolves, we've got Brighton. As our 2 so far, the Premier League double so far. Into the Sky Bet EFL then. Who wants to kick us off? You look very excited, Jim Rod.
I'm just excited to be here with the boys. Talking football.
Kick us off with some
So are we. It's a shame you're bloody late today.
We don't have to go
How dare you.
League 1, League 2. Right, we can just pick any.
With the boys, talking football.
Dive in.
Learning how
Go on, Jim
babies
Rod.
are made. Wickham, even money against
Yeah, I was
Shrewsbury.
interested
Don't like it.
by this, and I'm interested by this. I wanted to discuss it.
Yeah,
Potential.
I mean, you can discuss it, but the angle of Shrewsbury I like.
Yeah, tell us this
But
a bit
Wickham,
more then, Jim
not very
Rod.
good.
Sorry, I thought you were asking me. What
Yeah, he is asking you.
Give us a bit more on this game then.
Yeah, I just think, like, although Wickham are a subpar home side, it's more about how poor Shrewsbury are. On the road, they're pretty crap. They played... Wickham, they've played Reading, Stevenage, Bolton, Blackpool at home. And they are in the bottom half. I think they took 9 points off the top of my head on their home patch. But look at them teams they've played. They're all big boys, really. I know Reading are struggling, but they're starting to gather momentum. I know they're particularly poor away from home, but they're still a good side. And then put into the mix Stevenage, Bolton, Blackpool. They're all top half teams. I think Blackpool are going to be knocking on the playoff sort of top. They're going to be a top 6 side come the end of the season with Critchley. So for me, Wickham have had a really tough schedule at home. So don't read too much into their home form. Shrewsbury are crap on the road. I've seen it live in the flesh.
You're kind of skirting around the fact that Wickham have played... Well, Wickham are 15th, and they've played 6 of the teams below them at home as well. So they've had like a fairly normal schedule, and they've only won 2 of those against teams below them in the league, which I think is exceptionally poor for a team of Wickham.
Yeah, this was one I kind of
That's why I have the question.
had on a amber, yellowish, maybe type thing. You know, if we needed a bit of a value bumper, I wouldn't be against it. It's just Wickham.
Yeah. Two 0-0 draws with Burton and Cambridge, defeats to Exeter, Reading, only wins against Carlisle and Leyton Orient are below them.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Wickham, bad. Shrewsbury, worse. That's my thinking here. And
Can we
even
not just avoid these games, particularly if the said bad team are
Yeah.
odds on in places to win this game?
I
Not just
think so.
avoid it.
Didn't we back Wickham last time? They lost to Reading.
Reading.
Yeah, we sure did, buddy.
We were convinced that was the one that was
Yeah.
not let us down.
Weren't Reading like a really bad away team?
That was their only away.
worst in
That was
the
their only away
worst.
points, let alone win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's the only issue with that.
I think we kind of avoid Wickham. Personally, I just don't know if I trust them enough at this stage. I'll pivot to Charlton, home to Cambridge.
Hi, Charlton, Cambridge. Again, there's a bit of a asterisk next to it for me, but go on.
Yeah, the recent form isn't great, but they've won 7 of the last 10 at home in all competitions. Only Bolton have beaten them in that run, so a decent bit of form there. And Cambridge, obviously, they've got no more Mark Bonner. He's gone. Barry Corr is the man in charge. And I remember going to Hillsborough and watching Barry Corr play for Sheffield Wednesday. That was maybe 2000 and...
Was he the answer to your question?
I don't think so,
Okay.
no. But yeah, they had a good win against Fleetwood in the FA Cup. I just wonder if that was just the old new manager bounce, like good spot, found themselves in a nice home game against a cup competition that doesn't mean too much in terms of league. But yeah, they don't travel well, like at all. They've won one win, 6 defeats in 9, all competitions, winless in 9 away from home, lost 7. So it's a decent home team against a poor away team. So yeah, I thought that Charlton would be a little bit shorter, personally.
Yeah, the only thing that got me on this was that yesterday, to be fair, it's only just happened, Cambridge did appoint a manager.
Oh, who is it?
Neil Harris.
Neil Harris.
Which
Yeah,
I think he's quite... I think, a lot of well wishes to him from ex-clubs and fans of ex-clubs that, kind of understand it. I just don't know what to expect because of him. That's the thing that...
I quite like Neil Harris as a manager, so
Yeah.
I wasn't
That's why I
aware
cheered him
of
at the
that.
start of the season, and that's gone horribly wrong, so that bet's down the drain already. But that's the one thing for me that put me off it.
Yeah.
Any others?
Oh.
Rod?
He's flapping.
I mean, to be fair, do you want me to just chuck Notts County in now?
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
about to say
we've
Notts
all got
County.
Notts County,
Yeah.
right.
We have.
Walsall, terrible.
Yep.
We spoke about Walsall before. Michael Beardmore, our in-house resident Walsall fan, hating life at the moment in terms of football.
Yeah.
I'm sure everything else is
And
okay.
on Mickey Beamer, I would point you in the direction of the preview we did for the Alfreton game.
Yeah.
If you want to know what it's like to be a Walsall fan at the minute,
Yeah.
give that a read. You only need to read the first few parts. It's unbelievable.
And then I watched that game against Alfred, and I felt like The Simpsons, where Bart's ringing Millhouse going this, and then Millhouse is actually watching the Teletubbies. I felt like that when everyone's going mad about how great the Luton Arsenal game is, and I've got PCI player on watching Alfred and Walsall. But a large part of that was just to see what Walsall are kind of like. If it's as bad as people are saying, yeah.
They sure are.
Notts County are going to be a bit different. They're not going to be Heath Ball launching it into the box off that bloke who's got that throw-in that's incredible.
Lunder.
Every opportunity, get it launched in. It's going to be a bit different, but the greatest respect against the part-time Division 2 teams below, they really, really struggle. I know they had that contentious disallowed goal early on, but after that, very little in terms of an actual threat. And we spoke so much about Notts County. Defence is terrible. Hilarious. If you haven't watched their goals they conceded against Shrewsbury, go and search these out.
was
I
good.
have never seen anything
Funny.
like it.
It's really, really fun. It's the best hat-trick. The other lad, can't remember who it was, who scored the hat-trick. But
The lad who kicked it in the goal 3 times.
3 times, yeah. The best hat-trick he'll ever score. The defensive side and their daftness at the back at times does not concern me against this Walsall team. Let's take Notts County at like 4-7. That was nice and easy then. Notts County, let's add them in. And yeah, let's go for a 4th selection now.
Okay, now.
Potential.
Let's stay in League One, I reckon. Blackpool, another 1-2 against home against Carlisle.
Blackpool have screwed us over a few times now, and I'm very, very hesitant.
They have.
Blackpool.
But
We either bat them to lose and they win, or we bat them to win and they lose. They're the one team that have done this to us multiple times this season, and that's why I'm very, very
So
iffy
you
on
don't
going
trust
near
them?
Black. I don't trust them anymore, no. Like Critchley, I don't mind him, but
I don't trust them, but it does look very good price. Against Carlisle are just shocking.
Read your first bullet point.
did shit the bed last time against Northampton.
They pooed their
And I
pantaloons.
put comma, but maybe still have faith. They've won 8 of the last 11 at home in all comps, so it's a very strong home form. Carlisle, 7 of the last 10. They've lost 1 win and 6 defeats away in 9. Lost the last 4, so it's a good home team against a bad away team. It's just a case if you want to go back to that well. Should we go through a few more?
I'm happy. Let's go through a few more
Yeah.
and then potentially come back to them if we need a booster. In fact, let's reflect on it. Just have a little look around, find some more teams. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back on the other side of this quick message from the very missed Joe Townsend.
One thing we've all got in common is having that one leg of an Acca let us down. From spending your winnings in your head to cursing that last-minute equaliser that broke your heart. But it doesn't have to be that way. Acca Freeze from Sky Bet gives you the power to freeze a winning score early. Even if that team goes on to lose, Sky Bet will settle it as a winner. It's time to take action. It's time to Acca Freeze and end the game your way. Visit skybet.com for full terms and conditions.
Joe back fit and fighting. He's so eager to get back on this podcast. He's been messaging you all the time about coming back on the podcast.
He has, yeah.
Yeah, he's very eager. We'll be back with us. We'll be back to the fourfold of our own team very soon, sitting on Jim
Right,
Rod's
yeah,
lap.
Connie.
Yeah, we just changed the studio, and actually we're going to need more seats now, aren't we? We should have really considered this when we planned this out. On to the Acca then, back to the Acca. We've got Wolves, we've got Brighton, we've got Notts County. We are just above 3-1 as a treble so far, so bit of freedom there. We spoke about Blackpool. We add them to the Acca. It takes it up to 5-1. So we're, well within the shortish price range, which is fine.
I quite like having teams on the shit list. If you want Blackpool on the shit list, I'm happy to put them on. So happy to leave that out.
I think there's other ones that I can bring
shit
forward.
List, to be fair, 'cause
Like a no-go.
like you fucked us over. You're not coming back on the Acca. Blackpool are on it, I think. Yeah.
Happy to.
It's funny because Carlisle are probably on it as well.
Yeah, Carlisle. Yeah,
They've shafted 2 Accas earlier in the season.
They just can't create chances. They can't score. But then whenever they play a team that we're backing them to beat or backing them to lose against, suddenly
We did have a comment about that on Twitter actually.
they're hitting 3.
Maybe 3 or 4 months ago, maybe a couple of months ago, that they were saying like, "Oh, why can't you tip against Carlisle every week? Because when you do, they win." So I don't know.
Well done, Carlisle, for your
done.
win this weekend. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Elsewhere then, there's a few others. I had a bit of a long list. I don't really know which one to bring.
Can I throw Wrexham out there?
No.
As an away game.
No. Wrexham are all about good form at home. I don't trust them away.
Well, this is when you have to do a bit more digging, Jim Rod, because their away form is not great. 1-3, drawn 5, lost 2, but they've only played 1 of the current bottom 8 away from home. So most of their games have come against teams that are actually fairly competitive in League 2.
Yeah.
They've already played away at 6 of the current top 10.
Yeah, that's true.
Which puts them in a really good place for the remainder of the season as potential title contenders, because it means that they get all the rivals at home in the second half of the season. And Forest Green, they've got 12 defeats in 19 this season, the worst home team in the league. won 2, drawn 1, lost 8. They've lost 8 of 9 against teams in 18th and above. So, they are not very good when playing good teams. The only results have come against poor Travellers Crawley, 21st place Colchester, and a draw with 20th place Grimsby. My only kind of nagging doubt is that we know Wrexham are kind of known as Hollywood FC across the EFL and in League 2, which means that they are every single team's cup final when they play host to Wrexham. So it means that every team gives an extra 10% whenever they're playing at home to Wrexham, because they know either they're going to feature in a documentary or they just want to get one over on a Wrexham team that have got a lot more reach and riches than potentially some of those teams have. So that's my only issue.
Yeah.
Is that.
That's a great point.
Forest Green also have very patchy form. I know that you've touched on the teams they played there, but that always unsettles me a little bit when it's like win one week, lose the next, draw a couple, and you're like, what the hell to expect from this team?
Yeah, I just don't trust Wrexham away, in all honesty. And I know that I didn't really dig deep enough looking into their away form. And what you made some excellent points, but just take you back to that 1-0 win with Tranmere. For the odds and away side, I want to be like 100%. No doubt in my mind, I'll take one -2 handicap. Do you know what I mean? I want them to go and absolutely batter the side, and
They
I
just well do that this weekend.
I don't think they will. I don't trust Wrexham away from home. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Move on to the next one, I guess. Yeah, that, like I said, I think that they win, but that doubt of just every team. We saw it with Accrington Stanley. They went to Accrington, they were heavy favourites.
If you're bringing a team to the party, you can't have doubts yourself. I don't.
No,
think
but from a footballing standpoint,
it?
it's a fairly clean, kosher argument. Like they
Yeah.
probably should be a little bit shorter, given that you've got a pre-season favourite against a team that are now looking like relegation candidates, serious relegation candidates.
Yeah.
Like, what price would you expect Stockport to be at Forest Green, for example? Probably around that kind of price.
Yeah, I would take Stockport away at
trust
Forest Green.
Stockport
I trust them with my life, not Wrexham.
Which is funny because Wrexham are only a couple of points back of Stockport. Not a couple, maybe is it 5 maybe. But yeah, anyway, we can move on to Barrow.
Yes, I was wondering which one to bring to next, and I was going to suggest Barrow.
Barrow, go on.
Gillingham, we've spoke about already. They're hosting them at home. I'm sure we spoke about this previously. Barrow's strong home form just continues. Unbeaten in front of their own supporters, just 1 win in their last 7 away league games. So Gillingham, Stephen Clements has come in, 2 wins, 2 defeats. I don't know why I pronounced it like that, but 2 defeats for Gillingham, and they were away at Tranmere and they were away at Wrexham as well. So that is the reason why. I'm going to Barrow, who I'm conscious that we're just going to keep saying the same things.
You're going to
Barrow? Well, no, but I'm going towards them.
Yeah.
Be a good little day out though, wouldn't it, to go up there?
Yeah.
Saturday 3 p.m. And I just don't really want to say too much more on them because it feels like every time they're playing at home, we're looking at them and we're just saying the same things every week.
I'm going back to the old nagging doubts again, unfortunately, which might be the title of the podcast, I don't know. But the only... Jimmy brought up a point a couple
Why
of
did you two shake hands, by the way, a minute ago?
I showed him the bullet point I got written down, and it was in reference to something that he said a couple of weeks ago about Stockport having their bubble burst with a cup defeat. And I just wonder if Barrow lost to Maidstone in the FA Cup, and they were on an unbeaten run, a really long unbeaten run. I wonder if that might have, I don't know.
It was away though, that game, wasn't it?
It was, but we talked about momentum, weren't we, ahead of last weekend, and the fact that teams want to keep that momentum. I just wonder if that might have knocked them a little bit.
Potentially.
But yeah, I'm happy. I would be happy to see them go in because I just think that price is still too big.
I like it, 23 to 20-ish around that.
They should be around
5-4 marker, you know. Yeah.
Basically, won 5 straight in the league, unbeaten in 9, won 6 in that time. I mean,
Why are you two so happy to go against Gillingham?
I've been happy to go against them for most of the season.
I thought they were in playoffs.
No, they are one of those teams that are in a big, massive, false position.
My problem is that I backed them, obviously, as I said earlier, when Neil Harris was there, and their unbelievable second half of the season last year. They were brilliant, weren't they? They picked up so many points. I think only Stockport, was it, who picked up more?
Right.
That's why I got on board with them to win the title. And then even when they were winning every week, like 1-0 under Harris, they were like not conceding. I think I was almost trying to kid myself a little bit. Some games they genuinely weren't conceding any chances, but I was trying to talk myself into, yeah, they're going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Because you've got some interest in and wanting to keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's just interesting that the 2 games they've lost under the new manager have both been away, have both been decent teams, Wrexham, Tranmere, who have been in decent form. And now they go to Barrow, who've got a really good home record. It just feels like maybe it will be that, where they'll keep winning at home. And travel probably wouldn't quite be there as much. It's a long journey as well, obviously, as well. We speak about that before. Maybe that's why Barrow's so good at home. I don't know, but
they've lost.
It's a big price booster.
Six
this
of
for me.
10 in general away from home. Gillingham, even before the new manager, lost 4 the last 5. So they generally don't travel too well. It seems like, and
in the league, only 1 win since September.
Yeah, 1 win in the last 7 league away games. I think it's.
I mean, we can all sit here and read their form, but I just. That's exactly what I'm doing. But I don't know. Last time I checked, I thought Gillingham were good, and they just beat Charlton in Cup. Are they terrible away from home?
Yeah, they've not travelled well.
Okay. All right, I'm happy to go with the flow here. Just slightly nervous.
I mean, there's going to be one that you're never going to get an Acca where you go, unless you're getting 5 teams at 5-1. But I'm fully confident in this one.
You two are fully confident.
I'm fully confident in them as a home side, just to keep backing them to continue that fine home form.
Okay.
Barrow, 4th selection.
Yep.
Do you want to lock that one in?
Let's lock it in.
Let's do it. Yep.
We're shy of 10-1, so we need a 15.
That's how we like
I've got
it.
one for you. It's going to boost the Acca nicely.
Oh, God.
Plymouth 10-1 at the King Power.
Right.
Go on.
I'd rather take Sheffield Wednesday.
I just don't get why they're 10-1. It just looks massive to me.
They're rubbish away from home.
Probably because Leicester are the best team in the league.
Oh,
Yeah.
Leicester are the best team.
Have you seen Leicester? They're quite good.
They're pretty good at football.
They're pretty good at football, yeah.
That'd be why they're 10-1 then.
Yeah.
All right, let's forget about them.
Would you have Sheffield Wednesday 11-4 at Stoke? I'm not saying put them in the Acca, but it's an interesting single bet.
3-1.
3-1-ish you can get on Sheffield Wednesday this weekend.
I wouldn't put anyone off.
I never thought I'd see the day this season where I'm saying, oh, you have Sheffield Wednesday at 3-1.
I really want. I put out an angry tweet because no bookmaker offers to stay up in the Championship market.
Yeah.
I really want to get on them to stay up at the minute because I think.
You just want to lay your own bet.
Yes, absolutely, I do. But I was speaking to some fans at the snooker club the other day, and they were saying like we are actually not as shit as we look.
Yeah.
Like Danny Rolls probably is a good manager.
Yeah.
There is genuinely though, there is that, and I think it's kind of tough to comprehend a little bit if you don't support them. But I can totally understand why they're all on board with this. Like you saw it after they drew at home, was it? And he's going round, getting everyone fired up and all that stuff like that.
Yeah, that's not for me.
Yeah, but it's kind of like what they've then got finally after just such a torrid period. I know they got promoted last year, but everything that then followed it, they've taken a gamble on this manager who's come from abroad and is someone who can actually galvanise everyone, and it's exactly what they need at this point because they were and they still are, so far behind everyone.
Yeah.
But there's someone there who football's a lot better than it was at the start, and more importantly, just everyone's getting behind him at the moment, and that's exactly what they need at this point. And
Yeah. I mean, we're just
football to go, but 3-1. I'm not putting them in the Acca, but I just wanted to chuck them out there as a. I'd have no issue against a bad Stoke team.
Yeah.
Sheffield Wednesday, they're riding a bit of a high at the moment, despite what the league table says.
It's similar to the Wolves Forest in the sense that the reports are that this could be, if Alex Neil was to lose, he's out at Stoke. Again, do the players step up and have a go? Will they open up because they've been very poor in terms of attacking this season? And I sent you a screenshot of the XG table, didn't I?
Yeah.
From the last 8 games.
Why didn't you send it me?
Don't
Anytime Jake Osgathorpe XG comes up, it just goes to my spam folder.
it's junk it.
Zing.
Over the last 8 games, Sheffield Wednesday have been the 11th best team in the entire championship according to the underlying data. Stoke 19th. So if you take that, like 3-1 looks a bit big for a team maybe improving. The question for me is, can they replicate those 2 good home performances against Leicester and Blackburn away from home? Because the away from has been shocking. As I've said on speaking to my brothers, they were like, it's all right. We're only 10 points from safety. That's 4 wins. I was like, lads, we've won 2 all season.
Yeah.
Like you have to triple the win tally to get potentially catch anybody.
But this is the effect he's had, though. That there is now a point where you're going,
maybe.
Are we putting them in?
they could do it.
Absolutely not. No.
I mean, if we put them in, we'd have 32-1.
The other one's QPR down there, who are also improving under their new manager. They're playing Hull, big price at home.
Yeah.
They've had a couple of good results.
Yeah.
I don't hate that. I think QPR turned the corner. I like this new manager.
I think Hull just draw a lot of games, though.
Yeah, they do.
That's my only issue. They seem a bit of a coupon buster as a team if you're ever going to go against them, which I'm going to struggle to this season.
Does anybody else have any?
My 5th potential pick was Wimbledon. Wimbledon are at home to Swindon this week. Watched Wimbledon on Monday, of course. They're in the FA Cup, beat Ramsgate 5-0. Pretty routine performance. They're playing obviously a team who, to be fair to them, for like the 8th tier, they weren't that bad. But Wimbledon, very professional, put out a very strong team. Comfortably won 5-0 in this one. I was kind of looking at this instantly. I think when Wimbledon are at home, I'm kind of drawn towards them. 5 wins in a row at home now in all competitions as well. Swindon had that really weird game against Accrington where they nearly drew 4-4, didn't they? And all of the goals came in additional time. But to be fair, Accrington did miss a penalty in that game, didn't they, as well? So there were chances to score before it came to that chaotic final.
Yeah, what the hell was that goalkeeper doing, by the way?
Oh my God, if that was the one that was 4-4, like that would have been replayed forever. For me, I think.
What price are we getting on this?
5 to 6.
Even
money around that. Ali Al-Hamadi as well. That brace against Ramsgate, 11 goals, 6 assists in all competitions this season.
Do you want to take on a Swindon side that have won the last 2, beat Mansfield?
No, I do not.
Yeah. That's the only thing. If it was the other way around, it would obviously be nowhere near. I'd expect a bigger price, obviously, on Wimbledon, but that would be the only one for me.
Wimbledon's home form, 3-3-3.
Yeah, it picks up a little bit. Obviously, they benefited. One of those was a cup game against easy opposition, with the greatest respect. The other one I have...
He's going to say Cardiff, isn't he? Loves Cardiff at home.
Tranmere to beat Newport at 7-5. We've mentioned Tranmere on this podcast before. A lot has changed since we last mentioned Tranmere on this podcast. There's been a managerial change. Nigel Atkins was working upstairs somewhere, wasn't he? He took the team temporarily. They've since given him the job permanently. Their form throughout November was so good. He's been nominated for Manager of the Month. If he wins this tomorrow, I'll be terrified because that's always a curse. But their form so far, 2 wins, 2 draws in the last 4. The draws, came in away games as well. One of those is at Mansfield, the other being at Sutton as well. 4 wins in their last 6 at home. And a shout out to Rob Apter as well, who's on loan from Blackpool. 4 goals across his last 4 games as well. A team in form, a player in form. They'll really fancy their chances against this Newport side, I think, at home to continue this good form. And it's 7-5 as well, so it's a nice price on this one. And it's a team that I didn't think we'd really be going back to Tranmere unless we were opposing them. They've seemingly got going a bit under Nigel Atkins, who again, bit of a biased view because I really like him. I love Nigel Atkins.
That man. It's weird because I hate him.
Is it from that time at the Blades?
Maybe.
That's why I love him. I was reporting on the Blades at the time and he's absolutely lovely man when I was up that way.
No, he's a lovely man. He's a hard man to hate, but I'm trying my best.
Again, it's another home team. I just think this is a really nice price for a good team in good form against another one that's just a bit like, bleh. They're there.
I mean, they've won the last 2, Newport. They're not completely out of form. Win against Stockport, ended their run, went to Morecambe, beat them. Morecambe generally a good home team as well. So again, it's another one I'd want to avoid. It looks like 2 teams that might be on the up. Could be a draw.
Why don't you pick a better team then?
I have.
I need another team. We need another team here.
Oh, I thought you were going to do a fresh one.
I've got Derby down. I think they're a big price.
Do this every time on Derby. No.
Why not though?
No, it's Derby. I just don't trust them.
Leighton Orient have won 3 and 9 at home.
Yeah, Derby though.
No wins in the last 4.
Football club.
Derby,
That's what they do.
5 wins in 9 away. Won 4 in a row. Found a bit of a rhythm after a slow start. Expected goal difference per game is positive away from home. I again, like they look like they're trending towards being a top 3 team, maybe something like that. I don't know if they'll catch the Boltons or the Portsmouths, but yeah, 11 to 10 looks quite big. I'm not saying we put them in, because we've discussed like 11 to 10, big, fairly shortish for an away team, but I think that the price should be a bit shorter. And then we'll just probably circle back to Blackpool.
I mean, to be
kind of put on the shit list.
It's going to be a wild one. Is Sutton value at home to Harrogate?
Absolutely not.
Draw a lot.
What about? Sorry about this stuff, man. But what about Crewe at Grimsby?
Yeah, I kind of looked at this. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if I like Crewe on the road.
David Artell Derby, isn't it? This one.
Unbelievable knowledge.
They've been improved since he's come in Grimsby. That's the only thing. Kind of.
Well, I thought I'd ask you, because if anyone would know about
they went to MK Dons, put in a good performance there. They drew that game. They had Oxford in the cup as well. And to text my mate who goes to a lot of Grimsby games, basically you could instantly see the improvement. And I was kind of looking into the game, watched it back and stuff like that, and you could definitely tell that he has come in and lifted them a bit. And I know we spoke about that game, and that was the reason we were really hesitant to go with it. It kind of happened. That would be my thing, going against them at the moment, because they are improved, I think, at the moment under Artell. So we are struggling for a selection. This is inevitably going to happen.
Can I throw one more in?
Go on.
The long list. Accrington at home to Doncaster.
I'll allow it.
Yeah.
11 to 10. So Accrington, they've won 6 of 11 at home, which it's an okay-ish record. But they've won 5 of 6 against teams below them in the table. And given that they sit fairly high in the League 2 table, they sit 9th, which kind of tells you that the other 5 games they've played have been very tough at home. And obviously Doncaster sit down in 17th. I know they've had a couple of good results, but most of them have come at home. They've actually lost 7 of 9 away from home. All 7 against teams above them. So the only times they've got results are against teams below them. And given that they sit 17th, it kind of tells you that they don't fare too well against sides higher in the division. And Accrington's underlying process at home is fairly solid. They create plenty of chances, which I think is a huge plus. 1.7 XG, which is actually the 9th best in the division at home. And Doncaster, their process away from home is not fantastic. We're talking 18th best in the league. So 11 to 10 about an Accrington side who, I know they got beat by Swindon. That was such a ridiculous game. But in general, they've been a fairly strong home team this season.
I don't hate that. I'm actually a bit annoyed at myself that I kind of completely overlooked this game. I've said it before, Doncaster. Saw them when they played Grimsby, didn't think much of them. Wouldn't be against us at all.
No, yeah, I like it. You convinced me, babe.
Done it?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's it.
I mean, yeah, so...
No, I thought it was a good,
Thanks,
good
mate.
case. Good case.
So,
Very well put.
Cheers, buddy.
your options, I was going to say options, but I don't really want to go with Wrexham, don't really want to go Derby, don't really want to go with an away team. The home teams we bought, a bit hesitant. The one, though, that has been bought there, Accrington, I think we're all behind. I think this is the 5th pick. And it feels weird now that we're going, oh, we're struggling, we don't know. We put a team and go, oh, yeah, okay, fine. Actually, I'm surprised we didn't bring this up earlier. It's one of those that every episode we seem to overlook one game. And for some reason that we've kind of overlooked this at 11 to 10 as well. You get an odds against price. Picking the home teams, it's not too bad.
It was right in front of us all along, wasn't it?
There, and we just, it's too obvious. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Happy? Should we go with that?
Yeah.
There's the 5 teams.
Be happier.
You asked us a question.
I did, yeah.
Give us some clues you can work with.
Okay, so he did play for Manchester City.
Okay.
He played in 2013. It was when he was at Manchester City. He's also played for Monaco.
Got it.
He's got it.
Striker.
Yeah.
Played for Fiorentina
Yeah.
in Italy, I think, won.
He played for Inter Milan as well.
Is it Stefan Jovetic?
It's Stefan Jovetic. Well
I
done,
never
Tom.
get to answer the quiz question. I don't know why he played for Man City in 2013. I was trying to think of their striker core around that point.
It's like Dzeko Aguero, and he was kind of second, like third.
Yeah, they had John Guidetti at that time as well, didn't they? I remember him.
Yeah.
Only because a lad I lived with at uni was a Man City fan.
And he's now playing at Olympiacos, who are managed by former Sheffield Wednesday boss Carlos Carvajal.
There you go. It all links back together.
All links back.
After plenty of discussion and debate, we have settled on our accumulator for this week. This week's Acca in the Premier League, we're taking Brighton to beat Burnley. We've got Wolves to beat Nottingham Forest. Dropping down into then an all League 2 treble after that to join them. We've got Notts County to beat Walsall. We've got Barrow to beat Gillingham. And we've got Accrington to beat Doncaster. Pre-boost, that's just shy of 18 to 1. As ever, remember to keep it fun. Never bet more than you can afford. Please gamble responsibly. And we'd like to know your thoughts on that accumulator as well. A few of the other picks that we spoke about there. Who should we have included? Who should we have avoided in this one? Get in touch with us on Sporting Life Football on social media, or of course in the comments section on YouTube. And head over to sportinglife.com/football. You can find that to back it at an enhanced price. You can also get the long list link as well to back all the ones that we've spoken about.
Easy for you to say.
A bit of a tongue twister. There we go.
Done it again.
Please follow, rate us on iTunes, Spotify, your chosen podcast provider as well. And it's Champions League next week, is it not?
Yes, and FA Cup replays.
EFL as well. That's
I'll be at
it then.
Walsall.
Pod.
We'll be back on Monday.